functions do exist in Python natively, and you might know the syntax to different functions, but I'll briefly go through functions for now. So at the very beginning, I want to delete everything. I just want to import turtle. I want to create a screen, which is basically just turtle.screen. Next, I want to set the background color of that screen to black, like we did before. And I initialize my turtle, so turtle.turtle. I get my turtle. I want to set the speed to 0, and I want to hide it. So that's all I'll do for now. And if I start it right now, it will end up right away. So earlier what we did was we did turtle.exit on click. But during our main game, you want to be looking for inputs. So instead of using turtle directly, I want to use screen. And screen is going to go inside main loop. So if I do screen.main loop, this is going to keep persisting even if I click inside it, even if I move it around and everything, until and unless I close out of it. Since we want to be able to taking inputs, this is much better alternative to just turtle.onExitClick. All right, now the main points of this section are functions. So you can create a function called drawSquare, and you can give it, let's start with our drawSquare code. So for I in range 4, then we go t.forward a certain amount of units, let's say 100, and we go right a certain amount of units, let's say 90. Let's start this code, and you can see that our turtle doesn't draw anything right now because its color is different. So t.color, let's set it to white. And we can see that it draws a square and disappears. And every time we need to increase the size of the square, we'll just increase this value, so it'll create a larger square. And every time we need to decrease it, we'll set a lower value, so it will make a smaller square. But what if you want to create a function that draws squares for you? You just want to draw maybe like 50 squares, so you'd have to write this piece of code 50 times. Maybe you want a function for that, right? So we can create a function. The classic way to create a function, just def draw square, and we can put all of this code inside that function. Since Python works with indents, it is now inside that function. But what if I want to draw multiple squares? Let's say draw square, and I want to draw one square that is of the size 50, and I want to draw another square that is of the size maybe 100. How do I do that? Well, simply, instead of hard coding this 50 in here, I'll give it size. And on top right here, I will pass in size. So whatever size that I pass in, it will draw a square of that size. So if I pass in 100, it will draw a square of the size 100. If I pass in 50, it will draw a square of the size 50. Also, the loop seems to be missing here. So for I in range 4 every single time, because 4 signifies a square. And now if we start this program, it's going to create a square that is of the size 100, and then it's going to create a square that is of the size 50. You can use functions inside other functions. So if I created another function called define, and then said draw square at, and this function took an x value, a y value, and also a size. And all it did was t.pen up, t.go to whatever x and y value we passed in, and then draw the square. That's all it did. So this time, if I do draw square at, I can specify a position I want the square in. So maybe 100, 50, and then I want the size of the square to be 30. So if I start this, it will go to that location and then draw a square for me. So I actually have to do pen down after I go to that location. So t.pen down. And if I run this now, I'll go to that location. So it was off over here and draw the square for me. Let me choose a location that's much farther. So maybe 300 and 200. So it's going to create a square at that location.